For Kyle Busch, a trip to Bristol was exactly what he needed. He got his 4th win of the season, his 3rd at Bristol, and now he is creeping closer and closer to the chase for the Sprint Cup. It all came down to a 5-lap shootout between the current driver, the past driver of the 5 and the current driver of the 5, and Kyle Busch was able to hold off a charging Mark Martin to go ahead and take the victory here. You got to go back 13 races to find his last victory. That might not be long for some teams, but by the standards of this number 18, that is a winless drought. Hello, everybody, and welcome to NASCAR Victory Lane on Speed. I'm John Roberts alongside of Jimmy Spencer, Mr. Excitement, and driver number 28, Kenny Wallace. And guys, that was an exciting finish.
You know something I've learned, Spence? Sometimes we always say, you know, the driver has a bad day or a bad year. Well, it's true. This team, the crew members, they had a bad month. Now they're back on their game. They give this kid a car that he could win with, and he capitalized. So good job to the team, Spence. They finally got the car handling back.
Well, the big thing here, Kenny, is that here is the guy 70 points out of the chase, and he leaves this race by winning, except he goes from 70 to 34. Not a big jump. Bull. That's a major jump. He jumps all the way to 13th. He's going to one of his favorite tracks, Atlanta. He dominated Atlanta in the past. The key for Kyle Busch is he's on the roll that he needs to be. A lot of excitement tonight. Oh, man, all around. Think about the 42 car. Tony Stewart had a bad night. How about Marcus Ambrose? Think about Matt Kenseth and Biffle. I mean, this was a heck of a race, Johnny.
Now, NASCAR wanted to put the importance back on winning, and here's just how important this win could be for Kyle Busch. If we go to the final 10 races of the season and Kyle makes his way up, perhaps winning one more race along the way, he will go from 12th in points to 1st as soon as the chase starts.
Yeah, you know, and they constantly say this, Kenny, winning don't mean anything.
My Lord.
This is a lot of people saying, well, the winning don't mean anything. Bull. Winning means it all, because this 10 bonus points, they know that there's going to be guys that won this year that aren't going to be in this chase. And let's face it, there has been. I mean, that's the way it is. If you're not in the top 12, you're a nobody.
So let's spell it out, okay? If Kyle Busch gets into 12th, he's 13th right now. He's 12th. If they redo it, reset it, he's got all these wins. He can go from 12th to 1st when we show up in New Hampshire. So winning is everything. I've been reading and I've been hearing lately that people say, well, these guys are riding around because they don't want to make any mistakes. They ain't riding around, man. The guy's 13th in the points. He's got the win now. So when they reset the points, this could be huge to see a driver go from 12th to 1st because he's got a lot of wins.
And we saw during the race, they asked the crew chiefs, they said, hey, can you go for the win right now, or do you have to be careful? They all said, nope, we're going for the win. Let's take a quick look at the highlights. Much more coming your way on NASCAR Victory Lane, but this is just a taste of what went on today. Mark Martin had his 1,000th start from the pole in NASCAR competition. Got a little bit loose right there, and here goes the Biff. Greg Biffle led almost the first 100 laps of this race, but here comes Mark Martin battling back again on the low side this time, taking the lead away from the number 16 of Greg Biffle. It was Mark Martin who would go on to lead 240 laps today. But here you go getting into some traffic, and Jimmy Johnson put together a heck of a race today until he found some trouble a little bit later on in this thing. Now, big trouble coming up here for the number 18 and the 55 of Michael Waltrip as he gets by him. Michael Waltrip goes up to the high side, and Kyle Busch in the 18 was able to stick his nose out there and keep it out there. You say short tracks don't have the big one? Well, here you go. This is the big one late in the race as we have a ton of cars getting involved here. Guys battling for the chase and also guys that were running very well. Kurt Busch spent a lot of time in the top 5 today, and that was an unfortunate incident for that team that was running so well all night long. Now, here we come to the checkered flag. Mark Martin with one more shot in a 5-lap shootout. This is it as Kyle Busch is able to hold off the charging Mark Martin and get his 4th win of the season, his 3rd win of his career here at Bristol, and now he is back in championship contention, just a few points out of the 12th and final spot in the chase. So what a night it was for Kyle Busch as he was able to take the victory. But how about the guys who were in the back of the pack today, the guys who were battling to either stay in the chase or make it up into the chase? They had some trouble along the way.
Well, there were some surprises for me today. The bad runs by Casey Kane, Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon. Incredible start to the race by Tony Stewart. Had radio problems. We'll talk about that later. But great runs. How about the great run by Marcos Ambrose?
Oh, great run by him. But Kenny, how how about this? How about the 42 car? Solid in the top 10. Gets a flat tire lap 465. How about Kurt Busch? You mentioned him. Solid all night long. Gets it collected in a wreck. Hang on a second. I saw this scenario once before. All 3 children's cars in New Hampshire. Bam, bam, bam. Well, tonight, 2 of them. Clint Boyer, solid in the top 10. Gets wrecked by his teammate, Harvick. We're going to show you. I tell you what. 2 races to go, Johnny. Who knows what's going to happen?
All right, let's take a look at the chase points now, and these things are getting tighter and tighter as we get closer and closer.
Are you kidding
now,
me?
Ryan Newman moved up, as did Greg Biffle, 2 spots. Somebody has to move down. That was Juan Pablo Montoya, but was second place finish. Mark Martin was up too.
Yeah, but let's put a fork in, and they're all done. There's only 3 guys left, Kenny. 13th, 14th, and 15th. Kyle, Vickers, and Boyer. Rudiman's out of here. He had a good car. Actually got damaged by his teammate Michael Waltrip. He doesn't come home with a top 10. 160. I don't believe he's going to be a factor. I think it's down to these 3 guys. And you know what? I can change my mind, and I will. The 18 is going to get into this chase.
You've been saying all along he is going to, but let me tell you something. It is a thriller in Manila, baby. Woohoo!
Now, how about Brian Vickers fighting back? He was way in the back of the pack and came up 23rd, back to have a great finish and also stay in chase contention. We'll break down this whole thing when we come back to Victory Lane.
NASCAR Victory Lane is presented by Travelodge. Recreate, hibernate. Brought to you by NASCAR Banking, only from Bank of America. Your debit card, your credit card, your driver. Learn more at a Bank of America Banking Center today. And by Ford. Different is good. Drive the Ford difference at your local Ford or Lincoln Mercury dealer.
The night race at Bristol is not just another stop on the Sprint Cup schedule. It is an event, a destination. Fans come from all over the country in 9 different countries. And this time it was Kyle Busch who was the sharpest in the Sharpie 500. Let's take a look at the highlights. We're going to go through the first 250 laps right now. And it was a very eventful first 250 laps, especially at the front of the pack. Right off the bat, Mark Martin started on the pole in his 1,000th NASCAR start. And here he gets squirrely right away.
And I got to say this quickly. Fans, you owe yourself to come to Bristol and watch the pre-race show. There's nothing in the world like it. Here we are under racing, and here's the Biff trying to go quickly establish himself to lead. But, you know, this guy's having trouble early, Kenny. Radio problems, speeding on pit road. The 14, Tony Stewart.
I said, you know, we have great drivers like Tony Stewart, but even great drivers need a fast horse. Tony Stewart's horse let him down tonight. 2 laps down, finished somewhere in the 20s. We'll look at that later. Oh, here goes Joey Logano, rookie. The 33 got into him. 43, excuse me. 43 gets into the 20, and he's got rear damage.
Good job by several other cars to get around it.
A lot of guys missed this, and the guy was running really strong. 43 just, you know, had a little bobble. When he bobbled, he got into the quarter panel. But here's Tony Stewart with his wooden down. Why? They've been working on this radio. And this is uncharacteristic. This is the first time I've seen Stewart's team falter all year.
Flat tire for the number 11 of Denny Hamlin, another chase contender with kind of a bad night today. Had a tough qualifying session as well.
But let me say this. Do not worry, race fans. This man right here comes back to finish 5th in tonight's race.
Let's go back up to the front of the pack and see the battle for the lead as the Biff gets a little bit loose and Mark Martin is there to pounce.
And, you know, this, Kenny, we talked about this in our show this morning, about this groove, high groove, high groove, high groove. But Mark Martin utilized this low groove all day long.
Mark
Tough
Martin
break for the number 42 as he broke.
44, look at this. He breaks a brake rotor, race fans. The brake rotor explodes. Ryan Newman almost gets into him, but this causes a caution because there are brake rotor pieces all over the racetrack.
Mark the Kid Martin would put together one heck of an evening, would go on to lead 240 laps, and here he is. Looks like he's out for a Sunday drive.
I just want to say that Mark Martin, his whole racing career, has set his car up to run on the bottom of every single racetrack in the United States.
It worked tonight.
He was the only car to pass on the bottom of the racetrack.
Yep.
All right, little bumping and banging going on. 96 of Bobby Labonte never won at this racetrack, and it wasn't going to happen tonight. Got a bump from behind from Denny Hamlin. And any hopes for the 96?
Okay, let's see. Let's see if he got a bump here. I want to see. No.
Not yet.
No. Bobby Labonte loses it.
Yes, sir, Kenny Wallace, you're right. Bobby Labonte evidently lost some air off his spoiler, And that's what happened. He got a little loose. The tire started slipping, and he spins out.
This
But
is what we
wins
call
tonight.
brotherly love on the racetrack. The brothers Busch, Kyle and Kurt, beating and banging themselves. Both are very good at this racetrack. Matter of fact, Kurt
Watch
Busch
this.
has 5.
Isn't that awesome? That was racing,
That's his
baby.
big brother saying, there you go, cuz I can get into you too.
I like that.
All right, hats off once again to Marcus Ambrose and company. They're known as a road course racing team, but look at him. Here he is battling with the best of them on the oval.
I would say that this means more to him than a road course win because he feels bad that he hasn't had some good runs on the big tracks.
And the thing about it, fans, is he marched his way through the field under green flag conditions. So Frankie Kernham did a great job there, Johnny.
Well, at that point in the race, we saw Jimmy Johnson lead, and it looks like he was going to walk away with it. But in the end, it was Kyle Busch. Sorry, Kyle Busch. Is hard to say
You know what?
Another Busch brother here at Bristol.
Kyle Busch is so ugly. He does not deserve that beautiful-looking girlfriend that he's got.
Did you really just say that?
I'm just having fun, race fans.
You know,
Kyle's
I'm really
a good
not
guy.
sure how to follow that one out.
Yeah,
Let's go to break
let's get
quickly
away.
to get out of that one. I'm sure he was just kidding. He's very very
Let's
good
see
looking.
that lady.
And so, as is Kenny Wallace there.
There's
we'll
that.
be back for a beautiful victory in just a moment.
Thursday. Don't miss Big Block Thursday on Speed. 3 big hours of races, chases, and crashes. With Pinks all out at 8, then jacked at 9, and wrecked at 10. Got plans Thursday night? You do now. Big Block Thursday, baby. Beginning at 8 Eastern, only on Speed.
And here at Bristol, you can get jacked, wrecked, and go all out. And that's exactly what Mark Martin and Jimmy Johnson were doing at this point in the race. When we left you at lap 250, Jimmy Johnson was in the lead. But now Mark Martin takes it away and looks like he's about to walk the dog.
He is, but I want to quickly mention this one car. Kenny, this one car has received the penalty for speeding. He has battled his way back to second position. Incredible.
I want everybody to listen to this.
Hey, Mark, the 48's just inquiring if we get a chance to help him on 5. If we get checked out and we can help him, that'd be cool. You know, just run your race, we'll see what happens. Okay, the thing they got to understand is they don't need the 5, you know, as bad as we need to lead the most laps. So I'll be a great teammate, but I've got the 5 cars, number 1 in our heart here. Yeah, so far.
Mark the Kid Martin says, I will be the ultimate teammate while he's sitting on the bubble 12th in points. I mean, that's incredible. You know, Jimmy Spencer, you've always said one thing that I like that you say about Mark Martin. You said he has incredible discipline.
He does. And he's a very disciplined driver. Most of all, Jimmy Kendrick will tell you that Mark Martin has added so much to this team, Johnny.
All right, so you kind of got to agree with Mark Martin in that case. They didn't really need the 5 because they're pretty much locked into the chase. But Mark Martin took the lead right back away and started collecting more points for leading laps. And here comes Denny Hamlin, gets into Jeff Gordon.
I think what we're seeing right here is a big, ball of fire come out the right side of Jeff Gordon's car. And Jeff struggled all night long. I mean, he finished way down in 20. So you look right here, he's got right rear damage. And, no harm, no foul, but his car did not handle all night.
48 and 5 trying to make their way through the traffic. Jimmy Johnson and Mark Martin getting caught up in, it's kind of hard to call Casey Kane lap traffic there, but that's the situation they were in with Regan Smith on the high side.
You know what? All the practice is done in the daytime. When this race gets into night, you got to, their shim stack on their bump stops could have been off the track, picks up a lot of grip, and the 9 car does not handle good, even though he was good in practice.
He was very good in practice, and I was shocked tonight. He had a rush to get his qualifying lap in, was off, and it seems like he was off from the green flag all night long.
Tells you just how tough it is to figure this place out sometimes. Even though it's high bank concrete, it still can be temperamental. And take a look at David Gillen, had a pretty good run going until he got in the wall.
No tire here, fans. Something broke on that car. That was not a tire, went down. Some suspension failure caused him to hit the wall.
Watch the move by the 48 as he tries to thread the needle here.
Impressive. Well, Vickers is trying to stay on the lead lap. 98's already lapped down. Jimmy Johnson says, no. I'm coming. I'm going. But then again, fans, he has nothing to lose. He's locked into this chase, Kenny.
But I love this racetrack. I don't like it when the fans say, we want to see him all wreck. This is the race of old. 3 wide at Bristol.
Good racing.
Now, what would a race in 2009 be without a little bit of rain? We had the rain come out, stopped at once under a yellow flag and then under a red flag. And here we see Jimmy Johnson and company coming into the pits.
But this is devastation. They have problems on the right rear. Looky here. Oh, man. Chad Knaus, the crew chief, is like, you've got to be kidding me. We come in leading.
Leading the race, Kenny. Goes out back about 12 or 13, gets a caught for a penalty here, goes all the way back to 22nd.
And when they put that jack down, the tire was not able to. You see it wobbling away. Looks like Clark Griswold driving the family truckster out of the gas station there on the movie, but they got it fixed.
Great movie.
Oh, yeah, it was. But it's not a good movie that Jimmy Johnson wants to see right now. Leading, but then he would battle back for a very respectable finish as well.
He would. He'd come back, fans, to battle back for 8th. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. This guy is on his game, no question. Look at him cutting his way through the field here.
Now look at this. The number 2 has a flat tire. The 2 has a flat tire. Attention, everybody. No matter what, we got a big wreck.
Now take a look at what happened there to Brian Vickers, and that will tell you that was very impressive for him to bounce back and finish where he did. Let's go on board with 29.
29 hits his teammate, 33 gets 33, checks up, 33 gets into the wall, 29 gets turned, bam, into the wall. 2 children's cars once again, but most of all, what devastation for Clint Boyer tonight right there, fans. A lot of damage done, but you know what? I'm going to tell you something. These guys rally back. Stay tuned. These guys rally back.
Juan Pablo Montoya is one of those chasers coming in, but trying to hold on to his spot. And there he has a little bit of tire issue himself and stays out of the wall, but loses a lot of ground.
Yeah, here he has a flat right side tire. He's running in the top 10 all-night long, fans. We've talked about this on our Home Depot show. We will tell you this. This is what happens. You lose a tire. As we see, the one car here lose a left front tire. But when you lose a tire, you're fixing to lose a lap or 2 under green conditions. Fortunately for Martin Truex here, he cuts the tire down, and the caution flag comes out for him. He doesn't lose any laps.
But that was a bad break for that team because they had a great race car coming in. And look at the restarts that Kyle Busch was getting.
But look how important it is for Mark to go fast on the bottom. He's the only car. He's able, oh, yeah, he clears the biff. And boy, that was big right there.
This was a big race for the Biff as well. He was fast all weekend long. He went back in the pack a little bit, but then he came up, and here's what ruins the night for the 33.
And Johnny, this is devastation. Michael Waltrip spins out, gets up, comes down. Clint Boyer gets hit from behind by Johnny Logano. Just a race deal. Bam, 33. But you know what, fans? At that point, he was running back in the 9th position. He got his way back to 9th, Kenny, but no good.
And then at this time, we have a lot of rain. So we got a red flag to clean it up. Now here we go.
Here's the restart with 5 laps to go. This is going to be an old-fashioned Saturday night shootout between 2 of the best drivers in the business. You got Kyle Busch on the high side, Mark Martin on the low side, and this was fun to watch.
And think about that. It was 12th and 13th in the points, fans. Well, after this, it changed, but those guys were racing for 12th. That's hard to believe. They raced that clean, that impressive, Johnny. I was amazed at that.
Both of these drivers were going for the win because they know that's the way you get the most points. And Mark Martin methodically was trying to track down Kyle Busch. And here was a question on everybody's mind. Could he do it?
Well, you would think that he could. But you know what? There's the, what do they call him? The shrub. The shrub.
The shrub.
Because you know what's cool about this, fans? Kenny, you noticed it. He gave the checkered flag to a fan. Good job, Cowboy.
Let's take a look at the results of the Sharpie 500. Kyle Busch, Mark Martin, Ambrose, Biffle, and Denny Hamlin. Those guys did a great job, Denny Hamlin and group, to battle back in the top 5.
The fans ask me all the time, Kenny, what's wrong with Junior? I say, let him race. Just let him race.
And
he finishes 9th.
Newman battling back for 6th, and Kurt Busch, all the problems he had, battles back for 7th.
Great run by Jamie McMurray and the number 26 team. They finished 11th. And Brian Vickers could have finished well back in the pack. A couple late race moves got him up to 12th and kept him in championship contention.
David Ruderman, 17th. Put a knife in him, like I said, or a fork, whatever. He's all done for, I believe.
Preferably put the fork in him. We don't want to put the knife in him yet. That's pretty cool. But Jeff Gordon in the number 24, very uncharacteristic of him in that situation. Tony Stewart, very uncharacteristic of him.
33rd, Tony Stewart. Got to wonder what happened to him at Bristol.
That's all right. He's in the chase.
Some soul searching there, baby.
He's in the chase already. He doesn't care right now. Well, yeah, Tony cares. Joe Nemechek, Tony Raines, and Dave Blaney, your last guys to finish up here in the Sharpie 500. Last time we'll be calling this the Sharpie 500 because now it's going to be the Irwin Tools race as well. The 2009 championship standings. Now, the points you see on the right are the points above the 13th position. We have the green by Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon because not mathematically, but very much realistically, they are locked in this chase.
Fans, let me tell you something. Mr. Excitement speaking here. 4th, 5th, and 6th locked in the chase. No question in my mind. 7th, 8th, 9th. Now this is where it gets technical. 2 races to go. We saw a lot of changes tonight. 10 of these top 12 positions changed tonight, Johnny. But you know what? I think those guys are all locked in.
It is time now for the Valvoline guaranteeing the win portion of the program. And guess who guaranteed the win better than nobody else? It was Kyle Busch and the restarts. We saw a lot of drivers spinning their tires, but Kyle Busch was able to pull away when it counted. Now Kyle Busch is going to join us next. He's getting wired up and ready to go. There are coveted trophies in NASCAR's top series. There's the Daytona Trophy, the Indy Trophy, but the Bristol Trophy from the night race here is one of those that is right up on the list, if not at the top of the list, for many competitors in NASCAR. Kyle Busch has that trophy after a 5-lap shootout tonight. And Kyle, it was a nail-biter for us to watch Mark Martin try to run you down. What was it like to look up in your rearview mirror and see a guy like that chasing you?
Well, imagine sitting there during a red flag. Just like, man, the best car all night is just sitting right behind me, and I know he can pounce. Mark Martin is such an honorable person, you know. I mean, it is so awesome to race with Mark Martin and those guys on that 5 team. You know, I know Alan Gustafson, I know how hard he wants to win, I know how hard Mark wants to win, but I was racing one of the best out there, and I knew if I gave him the room that he needed, he'd give me the room that I needed. So just a phenomenal battle there on the end of the night with both of us. You know, my M&M's Camry was good. Wasn't the best it could have been, but it was definitely good. And I drove my heart out, man. That was all it had. That was it.
And I guess that's what I want to talk to you about. You know, this track, it went through a lot of changes from the sun, you know, and then it went to a little drizzle. Was there a lot of changes in the track? Because you struggled for a while, then all at once you got the lead, it seemed like you could pull away.
Yeah, definitely. When we took the lead there, between the 55 and the 39, you know, we sort of left.
Yeah.
And Mark was really good. He finally got clear of traffic, but he really wasn't running me down all that much. But, you know, it's just, for me, when I'm out front and I'm trying to run away from guys, sometimes I'm actually slower than when I can just run my own pace. You know, when I got a straightaway, I'm just running my own pace. I'm doing what I need to do. But when I got somebody all over my back bumper, man, I'm trying to hustle and give it all it's got and everything. And sometimes, you know, faster, slower, you know, but you can't slow down because then you feel like you're just going to get run over from behind. And so, you know, it's a hard balancing act there in trying to race at the end of the race. And it's always easier for the guy that's chasing. You can see how fast to go and judge yourself off of, but I just had to give the room necessary to race Mark, and he did the same for me.
You did something after the race that I thought was really cool. You won the race. They gave you the checkered flag. I've never seen you do this before. You gave it to a fan, and then somebody tried to get it, and you said, no, no. Who did you want to get the checkered flag?
Well, there was a girl there in a M&M shirt, and she was crying and freaking out, you know. So then there's this other lady. There's a guy with the M&M's jacket on. So hopefully he got in the middle of it and was bad. I know it did. That was crazy. I was like, oh man, that was a bad idea.
No, it was great. It was
nice
it was an awesome. It shows people what you're really like in your heart.
But it was a Tony Stewart fan that was arm wrestling for it. So I hope we won. I hope the M&M's brand won.
And you and Smoke get along great. Kyle, this is the story. You're outside the top 12. Yeah. And a week ago I said you were like a dog in heat. Simply from the standpoint, here's 12.
Did you like that comparison?
Here we go again.
I've never heard it. It's the first time I'm hearing it.
Okay, good.
12 drivers, 12 female dogs, and you got to get in. What's on your mind? How do you approach this? Get into that cage, get into that 12.
Probably not female dogs this time.
What we did tonight was just a product of what we got to do. You know, we ran a smart race. There were some times where I could have pushed the car a little bit harder. I didn't. I just waited. You know, I just was like, you know, we're only 250. We're only 380. You know, not quite yet. You know, but when it came down to the 450 and on, it was on, man. It was time to go. So. You know, the other thing was, you know, racing my brother sometimes and racing Jimmy, you know, it's just, you know, if you let those guys go and, you know, they had faster cars at that point. We were still making changes on our car. We made changes all night in the race. We never gave up on the car. We just kept trying to make it better, make it better, make it better. And I still don't think we were the best there at the end, but we were close. And I like the daytime race here better for some reason. I seem to be more in control than at the night race.
But that's been the mark of your team, though, throughout this period, what we call the race to the chase, is there just seems to be no quitting, you guys.
Very true. You know, we're not trying to quit. We're you know, we're working really, really hard to get in the chase. And to further on to Jimmy's point, what are we going to do? You know, I went to the shop this week and talked with Addington, not about here. Bristol can take care of itself. We have good stuff here. But about Atlanta, you know, we had great cars there at Atlanta last year. We won and we finished 5th. This spring we struggled. We ran 19th, 3 laps down. So we've got some work to do to get better, and we know that. And hopefully we can make some changes. And we came up with some ideas for in practice to try. And it's going to be a tight day because there's nationwide practice, qualifying, cup practice, qualifying all in one day. So it's going to be tight.
Kyle, why do you think your chassis has been so far off the last handful of races?
I'm not sure. You know, we keep getting lighter chassis and better chassis and all that, just like everybody else. But I don't know if it's the way we weld them together or the order and where we weld them together or whatever. But there's just something that's different about our stuff than the Hendrick cars. Tonight, it seemed like the Hendrick cars would really, really roll the corner very, very good. They kept their front tires underneath them. But their exits were just a little bit loose, where I was tight center with awesome forward bite. But my forward bite, sometimes if you got into it too hard, too heavy, and bent the car too much in the middle, you'd actually get the thing out a little bit, and the car would kind of slide on the exit. Still going forward, but sliding out. And that's just an uncomfortable feeling. You know, you want to be planted with the rear end, hammering on the gas, and turning it with the front end.
Well, Kyle, congratulations, man. You did a great job.
Thanks,
knocking
man.
on the door of the Chase
I'll
now.
try, yeah.
We're headed to
Thank you
Atlanta
so
in a
much.
couple weeks.
Appreciate
We'll
you.
see you there. And I want to say a special congratulations to Kyle from everybody here on Speed, and also from Bank of America and NASCAR banking only from Bank of America. Congratulations to Kyle Busch, who is in victory lane for the 3rd time in his career here at Bristol. Welcome back, everyone, to Bristol's Victory Lane. You can see the winning number 18 car there. You know, 13 races is not a long winless streak by most teams' standard, but the standards of the number 18 team, that is a long time to be outside of Victory Lane because they're used to being there. Crew Chief Steve Addington joins us now. And, Steve, for you guys, it's been a down couple of weeks, but you guys came back here. It seemed like Bristol was exactly what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, well, that's what we went into the Michigan race. I leaned across the roof of the car and I said, we're starting in the back here. I said, let's take what this place will give us. And we managed to get ourselves up to 5th place, but what people don't see is we had a piece of debris cave the sway bar tube in and locked the sway bar up in the front of the car. We had to cut it out when we got back to the shop, but the car went to pieces there the last 15 laps. We lost 3/4 of a second. So people don't get to see that. It's just like the 18 cars off, but we found that problem. Me and Kyle sat down and talked over, the first of the week, and knew coming to Bristol that we had a shot at it. This is one of the places that he loves. This is my favorite racetrack in the world. I love coming here in the Nationwide Busch deal and coming here with a Cup car with him driving it.
You know, when you have problems like that at Michigan, I really think you should send out a press release because that causes a lot of chaos. You know, what happened to that car? And I really think you should send a press release out and say, here's what happened to us. But yesterday, you said, look, we found something at the very end of practice. You care to share what you found to make him win the race?
Well, we worked with the rear spring, working on the rear spring split, and a little nervous about it starting this race, but because I hadn't been there before, but we did it, and he said, that's it. He said, switch over to qualifying trim, So we did that and talked to him. We didn't run that many laps on it. I was nervous about it, and I said, is it going to last? He looked at me and he goes, yeah, it's going to last.
Right.
I said, well, he gets around here, so he knows what it takes and what he's going to need in traffic. So that was a big thing. We changed the rear springs and then from our setups that we'd ran here in the past.
Steve, I'm like you. I think this is the ultimate racetrack for the fans, the drivers, the crew members. You have to come in with the right attitude. That's my question. How important is it to have, not just for yourself and Kyle, but the whole team's attitude going into these next 2 races?
It's big. This deal's about momentum. We had been down a little bit and hadn't been running like we should have or getting the finishes like we should have. So this right here is big for the 18 team because you go to Watkins Glen and lead, the race, and then at the end you fall back to 4th and it feels like it's the end of the world. So now this is just momentum builder. Let us go to Atlanta. We got a weekend off, so we can work on our Atlanta stuff, take a breath, give my guys a little bit of rest, give them some time off, and we've got a lot of stuff working at the shop to go to Atlanta. So it's really big for us as a team to get back to Victory Lane, and coming to Bristol, everybody was pretty pumped up to come back here.
And you guys have seen Victory Lane at Atlanta before, so that's a good place for you to go back to.
And Richmond. So that's what we talked about. We talked about we've won at every racetrack we go to the last 3. So this changes. I know the sport changes, the setups change, so it's you still got to earn it. And this was the hardest earned victory we've had in a long time because you got a race car driver in Mark Martin sitting there. He's the best. You know that.
You grew up with Mark Martin.
Yes. So I know how he is, but I felt good about it. I knew he was going to race him clean. He wasn't going to do anything stupid because Mark Martin's not that type of driver. And I said, if he beats him, he's going to beat him clean, and he's going to outrun him. So I wasn't nervous about Mark Martin being behind us and racing us, and he did exactly that.
Steve, congratulations. Good job for you and the team tonight. Great job by Kyle Busch to drive you guys there, and now you guys are knocking on the door of the chase. Going to take a week off, and we'll see Steve and company back in Atlanta, and that is a racetrack where they have visited Victory Lane before. We'll be back to Bristol's Victory Lane in a moment. Friday, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series storms into the Windy City for the first time. Tune in as Mike Skinner, Matt Crafton, and Todd Bodine look to turn the tables on Ron Hornaday and claw back into the championship fight. Don't miss the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series inaugural event live from Chicago Friday at 8:30 Eastern Time. Now, Mark Martin was hunting down Kyle Busch on the last 5 laps of this race. He led the most laps throughout the day with 240, but in the end came home second. In the big picture, that's probably not where he wanted to be in the end, but it's where he wanted to be in terms of points. Let's go to Bob Dillner.
Man, you knew it was going to be a fight to the finish in those last restarts between Mark Martin, Kyle Busch, and it looked like a whole heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's fun now that it's over with. At the time, I was training so hard it wasn't. And if you get a chance to interview Marcos, you know, I kept telling the guys, when I got beside Kyle, I was in trouble. I really didn't have control of my car. I had made a lunge for life trying to win, and it's a good thing that he gave me more than enough room. And so then I looked over to Marcos, and I says, what did it look like, Marcos? And he says, you were in trouble. I said, you were getting ready to win, you know. So, yeah, it was a great try. It was a great race. Alan and Pop-Tart, you know, team, CarQuest, and all those guys. Thank them. It's just incredible to drive this stuff.
Such a great car here tonight for Mark Martin. Led the most laps and so forth. And I know this is the type of car that you want to have in those next 2 races to set yourself up right for the chase.
Well, you know, we've got the performance. You know, but I'm not confident in the things that we can't control. But we've got the performance. We need to finish how we run the next 2 races, and it's a no-brainer. Man, that car was awesome tonight. And Alan Gustafson is the man. I have been so incredibly blessed. Rick Hendrick, you know, blessing me with Alan and this team. I just can't believe that I'm really doing this stuff. And you know, we've had our share of wins already, and darn near got another one tonight. And if we keep that going, we'll get us some more. So.
And tonight, Mark Martin finished how he ran. Well, guys, he could have done one spot better. So close tonight for Mark.
Listen to what I'm telling you. Mark Martin has never, ever in his career lacked performance. But what he said just really stuck in my ear. He says, I'm not confident in what I can't control. Why? If you go back through his career, I mean, he's going to win a championship in Atlanta years ago. They put a Roush motor in, or a Yates motor, excuse me. It blows up. Then he's going to win another championship. He gets fined for too tall of a spacer, and then he, you know, loses the championship. I mean, it just never ends with Mark the Kid Martin. This kid, even though he's as good as he is, he deserves a break, Jimmy Spencer. Always has bad luck.
He has had some bad luck for the in the past for this chase, but you know what? He'll be a factor in this thing, Johnny, before the year's over, I believe.
Yeah, if he makes it in, he's going to vault to the top because of those bonus points and all the wins. He didn't get the 10 bonus points today, but he still did pick up a lot of points when it comes to staying in the hunt. We'll be back with much more from the Sharpie 500 when we come back. Monday on This Week in NASCAR, a new feature will be introduced called Garage Pass. Michael Waltrip and Chad Knaus will recount several observations from the Bristol race and or the Bristol weekend that got overlooked or didn't get talked about enough. You don't want to miss Garage Pass Monday on Twin, 8 Eastern, only on Speed. And as the rain begins to fall here at Bristol, it certainly shined all night on Marcus Ambrose. Known as a road course racer, he proved he could get it done. Thank you, Jimmy. He could get it done on the ovals as well. Let's go back to Bob.
It's raining.
Marcos Ambrose truly drove like a Tasmanian devil here tonight at Bristol. never let down your guard, man. You fought for everything you can get here tonight.
Yeah, we did. Just a great night for our team. You know, it's my first year in the Cup Series, and with 10 laps to go, I'm racing Greg Biffle and Kyle Busch, who are trying to fight in the chase, and Dale Earnhardt Jr., who you can't hit out of the place, because if you did, you'd be lynched by about 25 million fans, and Mark Martin on his 1,000th start. So I was in pretty rare air up there, and I just didn't want to mess up, you know, and just a great day for us. We fought hard, we didn't give an inch, and clawed our way back. Had a couple of bad restarts there at the end, but you know, we finished probably where we should have. I couldn't touch the 5 and the 18. They just had a bit too much, but I was hoping they were going to sort themselves out at the front there, but they had just too high class a driver to make mistakes like that. But just a huge day for us. You know, Clorox and Kingsford and Little Debbie, everyone who helped me get here. It's just, it's awesome to pay them back some.
I want to know what happened on those restarts, though, because I figured Mr. Road Course racing expert would be right there, right on their back bump.
I was just too keen. I was just like, I want to win, I want to win. I just was too greedy on that right foot. He got 850 horsepower, and on a tyre that's worn out on a concrete track like this, you know, I was just too greedy, that's all. There was nothing wrong with the car. I was just, I was trying to win the race, and it just didn't work out.
The Aussie with another top 5 this time at Bristol.
Isn't this a breath of fresh air? The guy ecstatic, smiling, proud to be racing with all the great drivers in the Sprint Cup Series. I like Marcus Ambrose, and I'm very proud to say, I know him really well, but I'm very proud to say this guy opens the door for a lot of other people to get into this sport. Great deal with him and Frankie Kerr. This deal is really for real. This guy's here to stay. Little short of the championship, but you know what? I don't think you can count him out yet before the year's over from winning a race, Johnny.
Long as he keeps on smiling, that's all we care about. I think we can pretty much guarantee that. You know, our friend Rutledge Wood is a good guy, but we don't know how he gets all the good gigs. His gig this past weekend has been to go around and taste barbecue as part of the Prilosec OTC Barbecue Shootout Series. Let's check in with Rut, see what he likes.
Time to wave the checkered flag on the fan favorite for the Prilosec OTC Barbecue Shootout Series. All weekend long, fans have been trying free barbecue, picking out their favorite, and Jeff Burton is here to tell us who is the big winner.
In our closest voting ever, Mike and Debbie Davis, Laudable Barbecue. Let's hear it for Mike and Debbie, who's our fan favorite champion.
So Jeff Burton, we had our first three-peat winner in the fan contest. What did you think?
It was history-making event. It was good to see. It was fun to see a couple that travels around the country doing these kind of things and having success. So it's I'm glad for them, and this is fun to be part of. It's cool that our sponsors do things that allow the fans to get involved.
So here they are, our three-time winners, Mike and Debbie Davis, Laudable Barbecue. How did you get the fan vote again?
Man, I don't know. It had to be a squeaker. You know, I felt pretty good about yesterday, but I thought they was running up on us today, and they did. 43 votes is pretty close for all these thousands of people that are out here.
Mike and Debbie Davis, Laudable Barbecue, our third-time winners in the fan vote, right here.
Here we come, Atlanta.
Today's barbecue event is a proud supporter of the Speedway Children's Charities. To learn more about these worthy causes, please visit speedwaycharities.org, and we will be back to a rainy Bristol in just a moment.
NASCAR Victory Lane is presented by Travelodge, Recreate, Hibernate. Brought to you in part by Suzuki, Live Large, Drive Small. And by U.S. Army. There's strong, then there's Army Strong. See strength like no other at GoArmy.com.
Well, you often hear that timing is everything, and the rain timed out just right today. We got all 500 laps in at the Sharpie 500. Then the skies decided to open up, so all that's doing is getting us wet here on Victory Lane. So that's okay. The fans got their break, and a couple of good breaks and a great race car and a great driver put Greg Biffle and the number 16 team up where they wanted to be, and that's in the top 5. Let's go back to Bob.
Other than winning the race, this finish tonight for Greg Biffle, just what the doctor ordered, because you're battling to get in the chase and you come out of here with a good points day.
Yeah, it was a good points day. We needed that, but unfortunately the guy we're trying to beat, the 18 car, finished, he won the race. So, when we have a good night, they have a good night, So that's, we're trying to gain on them, but, we move up the ladder points, but we're still only 70 points in the chase. So, That's really, really hard for us. We had a great night. The 3 and 4 fusion ran good. I just got behind on the adjustments a little bit, but the guys did a great job on pit stops and just kept our track position all night.
2 to go before we get to the chase. Can you rest any easier?
No. I need that 120 points. Just give me 120. Then I can rest easy.
All right, great night for Greg Biffle here. His 5th top 5 at Bristol, and as he said, good points night. He gets a little bit more advantage on 13th place.
So I'm sorry, Kenny. I guess what the Biff was trying to say there was that there's no resting easy until this thing is said and done.
Oh, man, the Biff is a bundle of nerves, and I can tell you why. Carl Edwards right now is holding the banner for Roush Racing. Now you got Matt Kenseth and the Biff sitting there going, oh, my gosh, can you imagine if only one of us was in the race, for the chase? So the Biff really wants to solidify himself. He wants 120 points, so he can clamp this baby down. But I don't blame him. I'd be nervous, too.
And here is the reason why he should be nervous. Let's take a look at some of the chase contenders and some of the guys on the outside looking in who had trouble tonight at Bristol. And this can happen on any track. How about Clint Boyer gets a bump from Kevin Harvick, and that was just the beginning of trouble for Clint Boyer.
Yeah, the thing here is that this here, Clint was in the solid in the top 10 all night long. Now all at once, look at the damage to his car. He ends up not having the night he needs. He drops back in the points, and he loses to 12th place, Kenny.
It's just a deja vu. You're thinking, okay, Kevin Harvick hit him, but Harvick said, look, I didn't want to hit him. I tried to give him room because he's my teammate.
Juan Pablo Montoya, another chase contender. Trouble there with the tire.
Last week, a tire failure at Michigan. Something happened to him there. He's lucky. He gets the lucky dog. He gets it back. Tonight, not as fortunate. But the 9 car, all night long, fans, from the drop of the green flag till the end of this race, he was never a factor, Johnny, and this puts him all the way back to 11th in the chase.
11th in the chase right now, 52 points to the good, but look at where Kyle Busch is now, 34 points to the bad. If you can say that, he still moved up 2 spots.
You know what is amazing to me is I can not remember such juggling in large, massive amount of points. I mean, Mark Martin, remember, he was 150 points ahead a month ago, and he says, man, that's what I want.
And fans, you have to understand, 7th to 12th, that's 5 places. They're safe, and they think. No, they're not, because you got 3 more guys in there. You have 7th to 15th. I'm going to tell you what, fans, I can't wait to Atlanta.
And think about this, it's about a 160-point swing is about what you can have over the course of a race. So that could shuffle this thing even more as we head to the fastest racetrack on the circuit, the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And then we go to another short track, the 3/4 mile at Richmond. So there's still a whole lot of shaking going on. So we want to thank everybody for joining us this weekend at Bristol. Thanks to the folks at the Speedway. Join Steve and the gang on This Week in NASCAR.